Thank you, everyone. It's for me, it's a great pleasure to introduce my friends and colleagues, Flaviano Celaschi and Maria Elena Formia from University of Bologna, alma mater. I mean, it's an incredible pleasure because I know them since quite a few years, and we collaborating together with nice friends, and it's an incredible pleasure to have them at Design Principles and Practices. Just to give you a few words about them. And Flaviano at the moment is full professor. I don't know how to say that in English, decano, which is the, let's say, the highest ranked professor, older professor, but not as in a biological age because he's very young. University of Bologna, teaching design. And Maria Elena Formia, she's a very young professor. She's very young, but at the same time, she's already associate professor. So and she's really working at the University of Bologna since quite a few years. So it's a very nice, I would say, setup couple of colleagues working together at the University of Bologna, which is, as you may know, the oldest university in the world. Alma mater, University of Bologna, which belongs from the 14th century, which is a long time ago, let's say. But at the same time, Flaviano Celaschi started the very first design department in Italy, and the biggest design department in Italy, which means also it is probably the biggest one one of the biggest design departments in the world at the Polytechnic of Milano, where he was a professor before, and he was also pro-rector at the Polytechnic of Torino. And but he really has been working for a very, very, very long time on internationalization. So he was visiting professor not only in South America, Brazil, Mexico, but also in China, Argentina, and India, and United States, so really worldwide. And he founded a network together with Maria Elena Formia, which is the Latin network, Latin America network, where also Roberto Iniguez somehow is related to. And we had Roberto just yesterday having his talk. And he has been working, the Latin network on design of the processes is one of the really first associations relating pretty much bridging South America and Europe in design. So it's a very important network to look at. And but of course he has a number of different important responsibilities in Italy. He's a president of the regional cluster, the national cluster on design and creative industries since 2017. And also he started the unit on advanced design at Polytechnic of Milano, and pretty much is working since a very, very long time about advanced design. Also, Elena Formia pretty much is working on advanced design since the very starting of her career. He's part of the network. He started the network of Latin America together with Flaviano, and now he's chairing the design programs at the Polytechnic of Bologna. Really, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce them, not only as colleagues, but as friends. And they're going to speak about, their title is 15 years of scientific networking between Europe and Latin America. And they're going to pretty much talk about their activity of networking and scientific exchange between in Latin America, in between South America and Europe. So thank you very much for agreeing to give the talk, and I leave you the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorenzo. So good, so nice stayed with you today. Good morning, America. Good afternoon, Europe. Good evening, Asia. I thank my esteemed colleagues of Design Principles and Practices, and also my dear friends of the Tecnológico de Monterrey for their invitation to this conference. Together with my colleague and friend, Professor Elena Formia, We will tell you the experience of our scientific and also human relationship that gave life in the first international network among countries of Latin linguistic tradition in the field of design. As you can see from this summary, we have organized our speech in the 30 minutes, trying to report the origins of our experience, the size and duration of this process, the results that we think have been produced by dividing them into two parts: the work done before and around the Latin network and the history of the Latin network. Finally, we have tried to describe in a few words what links the scientific experience of Latin American countries with Latin Europeans ones in the field of design, and which, in our opinion, are the elements on which to invest in the forthcoming years. Reconstructing the last 20 years of relationship with Latin American country means, for me, describing and remembering a fundamental part of my life and my scientific education. The experience had a false start in 2000 when I was part of a group of professors called in Salvador de Bahia to digitalize the old town, the Plenary. This is the first time in South America for me. The research experience began in 2004 when the Polydesign, the research consortium in design at the Politecnico di Milano that I had founded in 1999, was called to develop a design center and open a new design university in Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil. They were 4 years of intense work and discovery of a universe of cultures, relationship knowledge. In this slide, we see on the top the first location of this project and on the bottom, its current venue. Today, the design area of Unicinos is one of the 3 most esteemed in Brazil, and it is #1 among the private universities. I'm pleased to remember the team that started this experience, composed by a bunch of wonderful young people. Carlo Franzato, today he coordinated the design area of Unicinos and directs the most important international scientific journal in Brazil. Eduardo Stasowski, who teaches design at the New School of Parsons School in New York City. Roberto Galizai, who is an esteemed Made in Italy entrepreneur in Brazil. And Mario Sorrentino, who sadly died 5 years ago, unfortunately. At that time, a real airlift began, through which I spent for 10 years, about 12 weeks here in South America. Moreover, I calculated that I made almost 1.5 million air miles for 14 different airline companies. Discovering, for example, that in the center of Brazil, there is a territory called the Triângulo Mineiro, where the largest ox fair in the world is held, which is called Gado in Brazil, the very big coal, big Pacific coal. Let me collectively thank my colleagues from more than 38 university of research center who hosted me and my whom we did projects and research conferences and congresses. training courses from Cuba to Chile, from Nicaragua to Rio Grande do Sul, from Colombia to Mexico. These almost 20 years of experience are characterized by three different historical phases. I believe that these three phases are not only characteristic of the scientific relationship between Europe and South America in terms of design, but that they were three real phases of social, political, and cultural evolution in the relationship between two continents. A first phase of great attraction, receptivity, openness, and mutual desire to internationalize academic and cultural experience. A second phase in which autarky and nationalism prevailed, and perhaps the idea that it is better that everyone at home manages the knowledge production independently and without influence. Finally, the current phase in which this autarkic euphoria is diminished, and the two continents have returned to look at each other with respect and attraction, a selective attraction which demands more constant relationship and great scientific equality.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Flaviano. I think that your three phases description can be also testified by the evolution of one of the major results of your experience among this tradition between Latin America and Europe. And it's a pleasure for me to continue this presentation, developing the history of the Latin Network for the Development of Design as a Process through a short description of the main facts and figures involved. Next, please, Flaviano. The Latin Network for the Development of Design Processes, in fact, is a group of researchers, academic, students, businessmen of Latin language and culture who study and operate in a particular field of design known as design processes. The Latin Network counts on around 60 members from 15 countries, representative of more than 20 universities in Europe and North, Central, South America. Moreover, it counts of a network of more than 500 international contacts collected among the participants of the third edition of the International Forum of Design as a Process. It also has honorary members, designers, entrepreneurs, and professors invited as keynote speakers of the forum. The Latin Network has been founded in 2008 with the Manifesto Carta di Torino. But why Torino in particular, and why 2008? In 2008, Torino in Italy became the first world design capital of ICSID. More than 3,250 world design capital related articles appeared in the national and international press for the period between 2007 and 2008. Since its very beginning, Professor Flaviano Celaschi has been leading a team that over the years guaranteed the cultural and scientific focus of the members of the network, developing interinstitutional cooperation. Next, the community has grown during 11 years, mobilizing a huge community of international researchers around the world. And today, the reference institution of the network is the University of Bologna in Italy, particularly the Advanced Design Unit. Next slide, please. next, Flaviano, of the Department of Architecture, which is a group of almost 30 professors, PhD students, researchers, and fellows. What we see in this slide is that is the Manifesto Carta di Torino. Starting from the beginning, in fact, we have just said that in 2008 the network was founded, and we wrote, together with the first member of the network, this manifesto. What is it? It is a document entitled "The Proposal for a Manifesto for the Development of Design Processes," made by 8 points that present the main objectives of the network. Reading it today, after more than 10 years, it is impressive how it remains actual. Let's see some of the main topics in order to understand this principle. The first, we believe that contemporary design culture must regain a new centrality of process understood as method and procedure. The second, we aim to become part of the debate between local identity and globalization. In particular, we intend to scientifically observe the evolution of design methods and processes with countries of Latin language and tradition, both in Europe and in Americas. Third, we believe that it is the task of the contemporary design culture to suggest and focus attention on specific design research themes originating in the Latin historical, cultural, linguistic metrics of this sector, such as design for territories, design for sustainability, and the central position of the human being. Next slide, please. Fourth, we are interested in the role of design culture in the knowledge and practices of school, enterprises, and territory. Fifth, we intend to focus on the study of design as a mediator between areas of knowledge and needs. Sixth, we are interested in determining the importance of meta-design processes as representative of the pre-design phases leading to what to design. And I think that they are really, really actual today. Starting from these premises, the Latin network has established from the beginning of its experience to be a group of people who benefit and self-finance from regularly and meeting personally in a forum. The forum is conceived as a thematic conference, and it takes place within one of the members' university. By now, 7 forums have been held by the members. I will shortly introduce them, focusing on the theme chosen, the venue and year, the number of keynote speakers, participants, accepted papers, and at the end, the novelty introduced. In fact, one of the main characteristics of the forum is the principle of the dowry left by each university. In every edition, the host university have introduced an incremental aspect with the idea of a common growing of the forum in order to share a recognizable format from a scientific and cultural point of view. The first meeting, we see the manifesto, took place in Porto Alegre in Brazil in 2009. The title was Design Cultures as Models of Biodiversity. The objective was to investigate the multiple facets of designers' work: design education, the collaboration between companies and university, the identities of design methodologies. At the Unicinos, there were almost 30 invited participants. Next slide. During this edition, we started the collaboration with the Strategic Design Research Journal, a scientific journal edited by Unicinos, that today gains worldwide recognition. Next slide. The second forum was held in Aveiro, Portugal. The title was Design, Fine Arts, Craft, Cross-Fertilization and Experiences, where we were interested in studying the possible overlaps between creative disciplines, among which design. On the various days, we were joined by colleagues from Europe, South America, the Middle East. In this second edition, the forum introduced the call for abstract with a process of blind peer review of the submitted proposal. Next. In 2011, we were hosted once again by the Politecnico di Torino in Italy. The title was Innovation in Design Education, and we reflected about design education in the field of research for education, relationship between education and companies, and new tools for education. Next. In this third forum, we published for the first time the book with the proceedings. Moreover, we established the Design Processes Award to celebrate important and pioneering personalities who distinguished for their activity close to the theme, design and process. Next. In 2012, the fourth forum took place in Belo Horizonte in Brazil during the Brazilian Design Biennial, guest of the UMG. The title was Diversity, Design and Humanities, and we discussed about possible overlappings between design cultures and humanistic knowledge. The number of participants grew, and we received almost 200 proposals. Next. In this edition, we established a strong collaboration with a specific research center called Humanities Design Lab, established in 2013 at the Politecnico of Milan. Next. After this, the forum became biennial, and the fifth edition in 2014 was hosted by the Tecnológico de Monterrey, campus di Guadalajara. The title was Advanced Design Cultures, the Shape of the Future at the Front End of Design-Driven Innovation. And in this edition, we introduced the topic of advanced design as a possible shared field of research and education. This was a great edition with a huge work made by the professor of the Tecnológico de Monterrey. Next. In 2016, the forum was in Valencia, thanks to the hospitality of the Universidad Politécnica de Valencia, with the title Systems and Design Beyond Processes and Thinking. And the sixth edition of the forum has its own publication and in form of a printed and e-book with 81 papers selected by an international panel of reviewers. Next. After 4 years of an apparent stop, we went in Colombia, finally in 2020, at the Universidad Nacional de Colombia in Palmira. As you can imagine, the history of this 7th edition was strongly influenced by the pandemic situation. The title was Design and Territory, Emergencies and Conflicts. The topic was decided before the COVID-19 situation emerged, but unfortunately, it foresees some of the effects of the worldwide pandemic situation. The in-presence event was planned for March 2020. However, it was transformed as a virtual conference held in June 2020 with 8 speakers in form of a webinar supported technologically by the Tecnológico di Monterrey. The webinar reached a great success with more than 500 people connected during some presentations. Next. In the meanwhile, we are doing other initiatives. In January 2021, as Advanced Design Unit of the University of Bologna, we organized, in collaboration with the Tecnológico de Monterrey, the Pontificia Università Católica de Chile, a winter school, a program that involved more than 60 students of the 3 countries in a 2-monthly activity. Many conferences and lectures are as well being organized, and we will end this experience next summer with a new workshop that will involve a selection of students of each university. Next. As the Italian colleagues already know, it is a very recent news, the acquisition of a scientific journal by the under the direction of Professor Flaviano Celaschi, who will be the new editor-in-chief. We are working for the publication of the forthcoming issues with an open call for 2021. But we have the idea that this publication can involve again the Latin network, becoming a way to amplify knowledge innovation in each country. Next. And after, some questions are emerging, really, that involve also the idea to rethink and update the Latin network system of sharing and debate, also due to the complex situation of COVID-19 and its impact on our daily and research activities. We can say that we are entering a new phase, a new dramatic or very positive phase that we will try to explore and navigate. So I give the floor to Flaviano Celaschi in order to present our conclusion.
So to continue in the questions, can we therefore say that today there is a common and shared tradition in the field of design between two Latin continents? We think that there have been several elements that have defined the common cultural and scientific territory. For example, the two Latin continents began a path of scientific review of their processes and the strategies in the same period of the century. At the same time, both continents have begun to grow their awareness about the importance of design processes. And in this, we think that our common work had a consistent impact. In both continents, industrial design has not fallen victim to the end of forced industrial capitalism and has been able to open up the new areas of application. But in our opinion, the time has now come to relaunch a great morphological research on the form, all the declination of form, style, structure, form, shape, which has been neglected in the last 20 years. The university has the task of searching among the designers in its territory for the new masters of the contemporary. They must be exemplary designers capable of becoming a reference point for young people. Finally, we have a fundamental duty to continue to do high-level scientific research in order to be able to keep design in the university and not to push it back toward vocational or artistic technical schools. We think the time has come to create more serious and structured marriages between 2 or 3 schools of this network that has the task of experiencing these experiences is depth and keeping to value of this common heritage height. I thank Elena very much and you for your attention. Thank you.